Thanks for clicking on to the late edition of Vogan's European Outlook for Friday, the 28th of April. Happy birthday to my mum, who is a avid follower of my YouTube channel. Of course, you've always got the backing of your parents, of course. But I would like to wish my mum a very happy birthday, and I do know that she's enjoying our time up here in the north of Scotland on holiday with my dad. So yeah, many happy returns to you, mum. Anyway, Spain all-time record for the month of April, as well as that Portugal and Morocco. It looks as if have achieved an all-time record for the month of April. So 38.8 Cordoba beats the old Spanish record set back in 2011 of 38.6. Looks as if Portugal has hit 36.9, which beats its previous record of 36 back in 1945. So it's a long time since that record was achieved, of course. And Morocco at 43.3 as opposed to 41 set back in 2006. We are starting to warm things up here across the UK and indeed Ireland also. The far north of Scotland remains very chilly at 8-9 Celsius, as you can see here. 13 in Glasgow, 14 at Edinburgh Gogar Bank. And then as you go further and further south, it looks as if we've got 18, 19 Celsius down close to South Sea and Portsmouth, where I know I've got a couple of followers down here as well. So it looks as if you're getting in on some of that warm weather that has been highlighted, of course, for the past week, saying that we would see a gradual increase in the temperature as we progress through this work week here. A bit of a short video, I'm afraid, tonight, so I will be rattling through this pretty quickly. Looks as if over the next few days we've got little areas of low pressure that's going to be moving from west to east across the UK. We had a very, very wet day yesterday, of course. Plenty of shower activity during the course of today. But if you notice here, we've got a big area of low pressure out over the North Atlantic, high pressure over Greenland, so a negative NAO pattern. We are in a bit of a no man's land in terms of weather. Low pressure to the east and west, a little bit of high pressure, weak area of high pressure at that overhead, and of course, with relatively cooler aloft underneath a fairly slack area of high pressure, you tend to find that the showers develop very easily with, of course, the cooler versus the warm surfacer that enhances the lift and the upward motion. But you can see here as we play through the weekend here, we've got more shower activity developing, particularly so over England, Wales, and Ireland, Northern Ireland also. So some of these will be heavy, thundery, could produce localized flooding in isolated areas where you find these showers stuck in place for a prolonged period of time. Of course, with light winds, these showers don't get moved along particularly quickly, so therefore you may find rain amounts add up pretty quickly within a short space of time. And you can see here as we progress through Sunday as well, we've got an area of low pressure not that far away from the UK and Ireland, so therefore there's your trigger for more widespread showers and local thunderstorms over the British Isles, but a fairly quiet, fairly monotonous type of weather pattern as we step out of April and into the month of May. And you can see here as we progress through the early portion of next week, those showers do eventually start to fade as high pressure builds overhead. A very large area of low pressure, as you can see here over the Atlantic, almost extended from the Azores all the way to southern Greenland, as you can see here. But we're kind of stuck in between weather systems here in the UK and Ireland. I'm going to be in Poland next week. Looks as if we've got an area of low pressure and fairly cool conditions at the 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. should I say on Tuesday afternoon. So it doesn't look like it's particularly favourable weather for Krakow, where I'll be visiting for 5 days. So yeah, might find this actually warmer in the UK than it is in Poland. Unfortunate for myself, of course. So we'll continue to play through the loop, and you notice here that there's not a great deal of change. High pressure then kind of shifts up towards the north here, but yeah, we've not got a particularly warm setup really when you look at it. Look at the 850 temperatures here off the model, and you can see here that if I get the right chart, you've got relatively chilly air actually in place. With that area of high pressure to the north of the UK, we've got quite the contrast yet again between the northern half of the British Isles. versus just to the southwest, where we've got a lot of that's quite a big difference in temperature, 850, as you can see here, as we progress through next week. So it looks as if we may see that warmer that kind of fades, eases as we progress through the weekend coming up. Then there's another surge of warmth that tries to come out of Africa and lift north, but there's always that resistance with this area of high pressure cycling colder around underneath the base of that and towards the UK, while warmer tries to lift up from the south here. So we've got this confliction in the air masses as we progress through the course of next week. And it'll be interesting to see if the cold wins the day, or does the warm start to try and kind of move into the southern half of the UK and Ireland here. So that, of course, will be the big question. So the battle of air masses next week looks to be the thing. So the first upcoming week of May looks as if we've got this north-south battle between the air masses here. So that will be quite interesting to see. But certainly the CFSV2, upcoming 7 days, warmth takes over the majority of the UK, as you can see here. Then it warms up further in the week 2, thanks to an area of high pressure that kind of settles in. So you can see here, this is the upcoming week. The high pressure then kind of starts to build in over the UK, as you can see here. Week 2, that area of high pressure slides just slightly to the east of the UK, and we've got, of course, that negative, that low pressure, not that far to the west. Therefore, that's going to try and throw energy in off the Atlantic, and that may set the scene for some quite unsettled conditions, as well as slightly warmer conditions during next week here. So doesn't look as if we're going to get into any kind of mega heat. Certainly nothing on par with what we're seeing in Spain for at least the next 10 days anyway. So we'll watch this space anyway as we go forward. Finally, looking at the temperatures as we're recording, like I say, I've already showed you that actually, so my head's a little bit scrambled if I'm being honest. So yeah, that's it for today. I appreciate you watching. Do stick around, of course, despite the fact that I'm not going to have a video tomorrow. I will have a global weather and climate report on Sunday, so stay tuned for that. There's a lot of things I'm looking forward to sharing with you in that video, and I will be away as of early Monday. But stick around, I will be doing videos while I'm away. It won't be every day, probably every other day, a little shot, and you can see where I'm at, and I'll show you a few different things next week. So stay tuned for that. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And I'll see you again on Sunday with more. Bye for now.